Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to another night of Super Deluxe Gamescast. It is Thursday, June 24th, and look who's back! Derek's here!
Hey! Hi, everybody. I live. I survived. I'm on the other side of getting married. It's
Look
incredible.
at the ring on your finger.
Yeah, it's very normal. But yeah, I'm back, folks. How it do?
And so we like, let's make this clear to everybody in
I'm
chat,
back with an incredibly expensive new microphone that the show did not pay for.
Not only
Happy birthday.
Not only is Derek back with a new microphone, and not only is he married, Derek is back for good. Like, Derek is officially back on the podcast. He's ready to go.
Derek's face at that moment does not make it seem like he was. I think you just announced something prematurely.
I am definitely back. I'm certainly not going to be as ever present as I was before, especially as I work on Castle Bravo. That's going to require a little more of my time and attention. So I'll still be on SDGC, just not like every single week as I was before. But yes, everybody's favorite Thembo is here and back to stay.
And Derek, let's actually, before we introduce our guest, can you talk a little bit about Castle Bravo?
Me and my sister Charlotte, who is one of the moderators and community managers on the Discord, Silent and Invisible and Deadly. The two of us are working on a film podcast called Castle Bravo, which is intended to go through kind of the history of the Godzilla franchise, movie by movie. It's not like a movie review thing. It's more we're trying to tell the story of how this franchise became what it is, because I think a lot of people have an image in their mind about like Godzilla and old monster movies as being like fun and cheesy, and a lot of them are surprisingly political and surprisingly thoughtful. And it's very interesting to see how a bunch of these loosely connected or not connected at all movies kind of eventually became Godzilla, because Godzilla was not a big deal for a very long time. So it's just fun. It's doing something that's totally my own that I can do. Like, I can record and edit like a prestige podcast instead of this 5 to 6 person chaos every week. So
Derek, quick question from the sidelines. What season will you be tackling Evangelion vs. Godzilla?
That's not a thing.
It could
at least
be.
as far as movies go. If it becomes a thing, I will deal. We're only doing movies. No shows, no games, none of that. If it becomes a thing, it'll be part of season 4 or later. But I actually do have this stuff mapped out. It's wild. It's bad shit.
Derek,
Matthew Broderick is the top best one in your opinion.
End of season 3. No, we're not talking about this.
Derek, I'm just happy you're back, man.
Happy I'm back. I've needed this.
I could not be more thrilled to have you back permanently. So we got a really cool guest tonight. We've got at least one really kind of heavy topic tonight. So I'm glad that he's here. Now Tauriq Moosa has been begging me to come on the show. Just begging me. Just
begging
like,
you to come
please.
on your show.
I can't believe this. I can't believe you start with lies.
Tauriq's been like,
wow.
John, please let me come on SDGC. It's the best podcast I've ever listened to. Please, just after years of breaking me down, Tauriq is finally here. So,
oh my God!
Welcome, Tauriq.
Hello. It's a complete and utter lie, but fine. Let's just go with it, because it's 3 a.m. I don't have time to argue with you right now. I'd rather argue about other things. So I'll just go, yes, I begged you, and you finally relented. I wore you down.
I also want to point out that Tauriq is officially my lawyer.
This is true, and if anybody from South Africa is watching that, it's not true.
He's my gamer lawyer. He is here to defend me against charges of playing video games, which everybody knows I do not do.
John's never played a video game.
I don't.
It's a 24/7 job.
He has too many opinions.
Yeah, I don't. Right. Yeah. Tauriq, for anybody,
they're all good opinions.
Yes, they are. Tauriq, for anybody listening who does not know who you are or what you're all about, feel free to enlighten the masses, if you will.
Well, I'm a South African writer. I've written I mostly focus on writing opinions and features for sites like IGN, Polygon. I do most of my work for The Guardian. I tend to focus on narrative adventures of any kind, anything that has a story, I tend to try and dissect. I look at mostly I intersect the stories as well as sort of political issues as well. I try to focus on race issues that tend to be overlooked. There was a small incident in 2014 or 2015 in which I mentioned at the height of Gamergate, which sort of brought a lot of realization to me about this horrific and terrible industry I decided to be part of. It's a tiny game. I don't know if you've heard of it, called The Witcher 3, and
Yeah.
it's a small independent studio in Poland, I think.
I believe that sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah, I don't know. They haven't done much. So,
Might be a
so I mentioned at the time, very smart on my part during the height of Gamergate, that this particular game did not have a lot of people of color. And I then proceeded to receive a great deal of nonsense for a while. And since then, it sort of made me reflect on what do I want to do in this industry. And then I realized, well, no, I'm going to stay because I'm right. So I decided to stay,
Yep.
even
exactly.
though it's not something I'd ever recommend to anybody. When I get asked, advice about breaking into the industry, what should you do? I tend to say to do a 180 and do anything else.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Anything else. Oh man, particularly if you come from a minority group, it's not worth it. I mean, but unfortunately, it's also necessary to break the horrible barriers that are part of this industry and part of even the discussions that we have, which spill obviously into the games that we play and the games that we make. But yeah, so I tend to focus on those sort of issues. I find them very interesting, and games are essential to myself, I find. In fact, I'm writing a review today about the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and I realized that it was actually that franchise which tipped me from going, games are fun and things I can do, to things that I view very seriously, because nothing to this day. There's only one other thing that's affected me as much as the ending of Mass Effect 3, and that was a book written by Salman Rushdie. That's the level at which I take in terms of a literary text. Games are very important.
Are you referring to the Satanic verses?
Exactly.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
So at the time, so that's the kind of impact it had on me. And at that time, put it this way, I was still a Muslim at that time. So that's the impact, the sort of cosmic, existential impact that a game had on me. And so it is equivalent to that, and realizing that games are important and the stories they can tell and the impact that they can make. So that was the tipping point, and now I take them extremely seriously. Still crap, and they all should be banned, but I still take them seriously.
So I want to ask a question about something you said. You very rightfully pointed out a lack of representation in a video game, and the gamers pushed back on you. That doesn't sound like the gamers I know. Like that.
I know.
I mean, I find that hard to believe, Tauriq.
Not on my internet.
Not in this industry. Like in this economy, absolutely not.
I know, it's actually shocking. Yeah, I mean, to this day, I still can't buy what is that game? By Warhorse Studios.
Oh God, the fucking Gamergate studio.
Yeah.
There's a what the hell's the name of that game?
What are they called?
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come.
Kingdom Come
That's what it is.
Deliverance.
Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Yeah.
Right.
So it seems to speak to a lot of things that I find interesting in a game design. Like, it's got nothing to do with magic. It is quite pretty. I'd want to test it out, but I can't in good conscience, because that the lead designer or whoever spent about 3 days just on my ass, just not happy about who I was and what I was talking about. So I now can't I can't play a whole ass game because of this dude.
That motherfucker can eat my ass from the front.
God, and he said his hordes. Oh,
that guy, I know exactly who you're talking about.
No.
And
Well, the wonderful thing is that however many years later, CD Projekt must have taken all that criticism of Witcher 3 being overwhelmingly white to heart, because now they finally discovered what a black person is. Granted, they're all sexual predators in Cyberpunk, so that's not great. But you know,
I've never played a game like where Cyberpunk where it's like, oh yeah, look, representation, but every single Latino in that game is like the most horrible stereotype since Speedy Gonzalez in the 40s.
Oh God!
Like
CJ, what was the name of that gang? The Diablos or something like that? Like,
yeah, it was just bad. It was I remember like the last time I was on Twitter, I posted there's this Schoolboy Q song called Collard Greens, and in it Kendrick Lamar has a guest verse where he just raps all these random Spanish swears, and I'm like, oh yeah, here's all the Latino dialogue in Cyberpunk 2077 just summed up.
Yeah.
Just like the old country.
Yeah, trust me, we've got some Cyberpunk stuff to get into. But so I feel like before we jump into our hold on. Somebody in chat. Hey guys, I wrote the sniper story on the Gamer. Oh, hey, what's up?
Yo,
cool.
Yo, hey, we're
perfect timing.
We are going to talk about your story.
Oh my God.
And other things as well. Welcome to the chat. That's all. That's awesome.
Timing literally could not be better.
So I was gonna say let's talk about what we've been playing, but since we have the actual author of the article here, do you guys just want to dive right into it?
Yeah, we can talk about what we've been playing later. Let's hit it now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's not keep him.
Yeah, let's do it. So, all right. In fact, I didn't have the article in front of me. But if somebody can pull up the article, I know I was not expecting the actual author of the article to be in chat.
You've read it enough times to know the details pretty well, though.
So the game is
First
called...
of all, do people even read articles? I read the headline, and I pretty much... It's good to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And now that confirms that what I'm trying to do in this industry is...
You and several other major industry-leading content creators only read the headline.
Thank you so much. I have so much confidence in my career prospects. I appreciate it.
So the game is called... I hate giving it any mention at all, but... The game is called Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2, which is like literally...
They're still making these?
But
they've never been good.
The title of that game is literally Shooty Video Game, the game. Like, that is the most video game-ass title I've ever heard in my entire life.
It just needs a redemption in there somewhere.
Like missing like the reckoning after.
Origins.
The reckoning.
Or Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2 Reckoning Origins. Like,
I have a very important question before you jump in. Does the cover feature a shaved head Caucasian male looking down, eyes up?
Yes.
No, I guarantee you.
Down,
I guarantee you, it is a dude with gigantic sunglasses and a heavy beard looking down. Actually,
yeah.
You guys got it both wrong. It's a generic-looking military man with his back turned, holding.
Okay.
Is he CJ? Is he looking over his shoulder like this?
Yes. He's
doing
doing the Akuma with way less style.
Yes, that's exactly the Akuma.
Oh my God, you're right. It is. But no, he is doing the classic head down, eyes up motif. It's just he's also got his back turned to us.
You guys are in for a video game when you see that on the cover.
Yeah, man.
So the author of the article, who actually is in chat, is Eric Switzer. Excellent read. Not exactly what I expected to read waking up this morning, because that's the first thing I saw on Twitter. I woke up, was brushing my teeth. I was like, I wonder what happened on the... Okay. So the game is called Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2. One day we'll get a war game called like Shooties and Blasties or something like that. But just something fun, something a lot less dire. But the devs had a PR firm take a bunch of journalists and influencers and took them to a mock training program based around killing enemies and bad guys dressed up to appear Arab, right? I'll actually quote part of the article here.
Importantly, it was white people
playing
cosplaying.
Yes. I did.
Yes.
Wow, I didn't even know that part.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and by the way, like apparently Eric got emails from the PR company like, "Hope you have a blast," and it's like, okay.
Oh my God, with like blast, Christ. Like emphasized,
capitalized with a winky emoji,
winky face,
with a winky face emoji. Hope you have a blast. And make sure you wear pants with belt loops. It's like, no, I thought I would wear, I would wear those pants that don't have any belt loops at all. Like all those fucking jeans I own, they don't have belt loops. Like
I was just gonna wear some harem pants, bro.
I was
I
gonna
want
wear
everybody to see my entire shit.
I was gonna wear a fucking tracksuit, dude. Like, of course I'm gonna wear pants with belt loops. So they get there, right? And I guess in the morning, he met with the rest of the group. There were 5 writers, 5 influencers from YouTube and Twitch. I know the hip hop gamer was one of them. I don't know who that is. I just know him from the article. So they got on a bus and they drove to the Strategic Operations Facility, and the Incredible Adventures team. Now, Strategic Operations Incorporated is a full-service film and TV studio. They were housed in a building that was a full-service film and TV studio built in the early 90s for a show called Silk Stalkings.
Silk Stalkings.
Wow. Woo! And they offer extreme... Okay, all right. They offer extreme military counterterrorism training.
I can sense the disdain coming off the word extreme when you say it.
So
extreme, no E.
Okay.
Oh, X's.
Okay. Yeah, no. Motherfucker, we are the energy drink of training. But so I can assure you, and
as if Bang Energy gained sentience and designed a video game, Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts 2.
So
The Reckoning, please don't forget that.
Oh, the Reckoning, yeah. So I can assure you, as somebody who has actually been involved in extreme counterterrorism operations, you ain't gonna learn fucking shit from these guys, for one. Okay. 2, looking at the picture here, they had a mock village set up, right? And the streets were paved with dirt, with broken out abandoned vehicles covered in rust and grime, and
all the houses are like piled up,
and like mud huts too.
Rotten meat.
Right. Oh God. Let's address that real quick. Let's address that real quick. Derek, are you aware of the rotten meat?
I am. Rotten meat just sitting out in the sun.
Okay,
gigantic pig's head.
So I want to laser focus on that. A pig's head. A pig's head.
That was beautiful. Was beautiful.
This is supposed to be a mock-up of a Muslim city. And they're using fucking pork.
So even if you cut away like religion, like, I mean, granted, like, there's no fucking pigs in that part of the world. They've historically never been used as farm animals in the Middle East or West Asia. So for a lot of good reasons, right. Economically, they're unfeasible.
Well, a guy came at me on Twitter today claiming to be a vet. He later nuked all his tweets, which I thought was funny. Is my mic super
your
low?
Mic is apparently low compared to everyone else.
That's
you sound
weird.
good to me, but that could be Discord adjusting.
That's really weird. Here, I'll turn my mic up a little bit in OBS.
Yeah, turn it up in OBS.
Right.
That's probably what
I just did it. Hopefully that's better. So anyway, Eric Switzer in chat said a lot of people were defending the rotten meat as authentic, right? It is true that in some cities, some small villages, and some metropolitan areas, there are open air butchers, right? But these are open air butchers. What they are not are fucking wooden platforms piled with rotting fucking carcasses. And like, I mean, I can't believe, like, there is no way any veteran who has actually been to the Middle East could come back and tell me that was my experience in Iraq, because I fucking guarantee you're lying. You're lying. And to say nothing of the fact that if we go back to the article here, and I've got it right here, there was a fucking Trump 2024 the revenge tour flag.
I saw.
Which, you know, I saw those all the time in Iraq. Like I mean, they're just Trump flags all over the place, right?
Of course.
Absolutely.
It's their defining
everybody knows
characteristic.
that. And he was right when he said it's a pretty hostile message to send to everyone who uses the facility, military and civilian alike.
Yeah.
And and the incredible adventures instructors are all combat vets, right? They're led by a guy named Tosh.
Hell yeah.
course.
Which is just
Fucking
That's
yeah.
scans.
Hell yeah. That dude sounds extreme.
this dude's name was Tosh.
Tosh spelled probably like T0SH.
Oh, for sure,
Right.
for sure,
On his birth certificate, for
sure. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry. His legal first name is call sign. His last name is Tosh.
Of course,
So his legal
of
name is
course.
call sign
The
Tosh.
frosted tips.
I'm not
and, like,
making
cargo
I'm
pants.
making that up, but you also know it's probably true. And so they're each given an M4 rifle converted to fire to fire simunition, which, if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically airsoft, right? And as they were running drills, no one was referring to the people they're learning to kill as Muslim, Middle Eastern, or Arabs. Anytime the instructors were talking about them, they say enemies, bad guys, or those other guys. And they were all white people dressed in robes and keffiyehs. And if you don't know what a keffiyeh is, it's basically if you've ever seen a picture with me and my shamag, a keffiyeh is similar to it's similar to that. The material is a little thinner, but it's not exactly. But with that's I'm not going to get into that. But he made a great point. He said, "I can't decide what's worse: white people dressing up as Arabs to be shot at, or subjecting actual Arab people to this experience." And that line really
I don't fucking know. Like,
just summed up the whole fucking experience for me.
it's just bad.
Summed up the whole article for me. And apparently so the CEO of this PR company, who apparently up until this morning I was following on Twitter, I fucking took care of that. But he was liking all of the tweets. He was liking a bunch of tweets that were like, the usual individuals attacking journalists for being angry at this kind of thing.
Yeah, this is definitely a dude with like a healthy relationship with his wife and kids, for sure. Yeah.
And
I'm just gonna bet.
What kills me about this? What kills me about this is, dude, not 3 months ago, like the entire industry was in an uproar over 6 days in Fallujah. And we've had many conversations on this podcast about this game, dude. You want to be look, I can't stop you from being a racist. I can't stop you from being a bigot. I can't stop you from being xenophobic. But at the very least, in the interest of self-preservation, read the fucking room, my dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? And like, dude, I'll tell you what, I'm not a PR guy. Just bring people in and have them play the fucking game. Like, I mean, I don't. What does this CJ? What does this actually serve?
Like, so here's it screams like, those really schlocky mid 2000s PRs stunts that a lot of devs would pull. Like, remember when Sony sacrificed a goat for God of War 2?
Oh
What
my
the fuck
god,
did that do?
yes.
The one that I always remember is the Dante's Inferno one.
Oh my god, where they sent people like money
jeez.
and we're like, oh yeah, if you open this, you're greedy, whatever, greed's a sin, some bullshit like that, or the fake picketers. Look,
the fake picketers for Dead Space were great.
It's just bizarre, like, especially in an age now where we're seeing more transparency between the press and a lot of these publishers. Also, I'm fairly intoxicated. This shit was too strong.
No, keep it up. Keep going. Keep it going.
It doesn't make sense to have this whole fake military drill for a fucking video game. You get what I'm saying? When Activision's not doing the same thing, I don't even think they've ever done the same thing for a Call of Duty game.
No, they know better.
Like, you get what I'm saying? Look, when one of the most evil corporations out there, when like these like the biggest AAA games that encourage you to kill minorities are stepping back and saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have simulated military drills to promote our game. Where the hell does this budget game studio like get off in doing that? You know what I'm saying? They don't have much like influence in the industry to really like pull shit like this. That's what confuses the hell out of me.
Tauriq, waking up and reading something like this and just kind of like, explain to me how you feel, because I imagine this just must be exhausting at this point.
Yeah, I mean the part that, aside from aside from the bizarre nature of it and how it also doesn't fulfill its function of actually promoting the game, like it
Right.
fails even on a basic level. Obviously, it seems to me it's probably just it's there to look at it cynically, which one has to do in terms of marketing and anything to do with advertising games or advertising in general, but in particular this toxic as hell industry. The cynical view of it is that it's going to generate something. And so maybe it's not to actually get people to play it, but it's to generate buzz around it, which is them fulfilling their function. It's their marketing. So that's all I can think about in terms of why they're doing this. But it doesn't negate how disgusting it is. Like it just doesn't. It all it does is reiterate those horrible aspects that you all spoke about that we were supposed to have notionally moved away from. Your weird sacrificing of goats, your booth babes, all that crap that we thought you'd moved away from. Do you remember the marketing for Daikatana?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Way back
John
in the
Romero
day,
still has not made me his bitch.
It's all that crap. But also what it got me thinking of was this article by in that I read in, I think it was Kotaku, about it was an analysis of arose, and we'll talk about it when we talk about cyberpunk, but it was an analysis of the press's new relationship. It's an overview of the press's relationship now that there's this sort of whittling down or a negation of paper publications, and how the immediacy of being able to publish as a content creator, and how there's almost no distinction anymore between publishers and content creators and writers and journalists, because we're all dependent on each other. There's no like there's no like magazine you pick up for authoritative reviews and things. But what got me thinking of looking at this was, well, this is sort of what they're speaking to. This is all that crap. Like, yes, we can say that people can make up their own opinions and we can be transparent about it, but all of it's content generation. It's all this horrific. It's a new language that they're speaking. It's no longer sort of Daikatana's horrible ads in magazines. It's now this crap. It's something that you can talk about. It's something you can film. It's something you can relate in your experiences, and that's sort of what the marketing team wanted. It's not actually about really, if they don't sell, it's fine. But we're talking about it. We're talking about it now. That's maybe some aspect that's all that they're trying to hit.
I'll say this much.
It's gross as hell.
I'll say this much.
Yeah.
When Bethesda figures out how, like for the next Doom game, when they figure out how to actually send people to the actual hell to market Doom, take all the YouTubers with you. Take them all. Show them like give them that real experience. Like
for Fallout, the next Fallout, they're gonna nuke an actual.
they're gonna nuke an actual city,
and they're gonna send journalists there. All right, here.
Something Derek said, I want to bring up real quick. Somebody just sent me this, Derek. So you mentioned Call of Duty, and how they.
No, I think CJ mentioned.
Was it
Call of
CJ?
Duty.
Okay, CJ.
Yeah.
CJ, you mentioned that. So Call of Duty actually has done something like this. It turns out, and no, CJ, whatever you were expecting, you're gonna be surprised. Because for
shit.
Call of Duty 2 in 2005, they flew people to Germany and took them to fucking Ava Braun's house.
What?
Yep.
You know what?
That's a thing that actually apparently happened.
It's somehow not as bad as what I was expecting, but also worse than what I was
At
expecting.
least it's a game where you were killing Nazis.
But,
That's all I got.
I mean, sure, yes, absolutely. Absolutely, but so listen to this. Listen to this.
What
As
can
we
I say?
bounced
Yikes.
as we bounced and rattled along the rough path right up until we all screeched to a halt, Jeep behind Jeep behind Jeep, because of a large branch falling across the track. Two of the soldiers jumped out to move it, at which point Nazis ran out of the woods from all around us, shot our drivers, then roped us into a group while shoving rifle butts into our backs.
I would simply not simulate capture by Nazis
Like
on writers,
and
but
then
that's just me.
and then
Maybe I'm old-fashioned.
and then
But, like, they somehow predicted what Twitter would be like.
no, guys.
They
It gets
somehow
better.
predicted what Twitter would be like for journalists. You know.
Yeah.
It gets
I don't think you understand what the word better means.
no,
John.
guys, guys. This is it gets okay. It gets something because after being yelled at in German, they were hooded, driven to a location, had the hoods ripped off, and whoops, we're at the Wolf's Lair.
What?
That is a
You
thing.
serious?
Yes, 100%. And at that point, the fourth wall was broken, and we were given a calm, informed tour of the site, and we're told about the 20 July plot to kill Adolf Hitler. And then they walked into and then listen to this. They walked into Hitler's actual bunker at the Wolf's Lair, where a fucking Call of Duty 2 was on some large flat screen televisions with fucking Xboxes all over the floor. That
Listen, that's bad.
And
That's bad.
and also
That's bad.
weirdly enough, a U.S. senator.
He didn't
What?
know though
I-
about the event. He was just there for sabbatical.
They took them to Hitler's bunker in the Wolf's Lair where they had set up fucking Xbox 360s.
Hey, to be
That's pretty
fair,
metal.
they
That's pretty
took them to the place. They took them to the place where Hitler died, and that's
No,
As
no,
the
no.
last- as
that
the
is
historical
that is
site.
that is not where Hitler died. Hitler died in Berlin, not at the Wolf's Lair.
Well, look,
Fuck, never mind.
it just seems okay, but like it's bad, but at the same time, it's kind of a baller move to just go into someone like evil person's house, fuck up their shit, and play fucking Call of Duty. Like if there's someone you really hated, I think that's the way to do it. You squat in their house and you're like, fuck it, man. Let's system link some fucking Call of Duty too.
I like, here's the thing. Like when you talk about horrible PR and like horrible marketing, I was gonna bring up the fucking Shadow Man deadvertising. Like, do you guys remember that deadvertising for Shadow Man?
It was the tombstones, right?
Yeah, like actual tombstones.
I'm only 30 years old, John. I don't remember.
Derek, there was an. Well, how the fuck does CJ know about this? He's like 18.
Because this is my entire life, John.
No.
Well, okay, so I was going to bring up the fucking deadvertising where Activision actually was paying people to put Shadow Man advertisements on their actual tombstones. But somehow, like I was going to launch into that, but then I got sent this, and I was like, oh no, this is much worse.
This beats out the goat. This beats out all the booth babes. This beats out the Dante's Inferno stuff for sure.
This might be the worst.
That 100%. This might even beat out the sniper.
It might.
Sniper
Like
war.
it's close. It's really fucking close. But I and look, like Derek, like look, at least the game is about killing Nazis, right?
Yeah.
Like at least you can say that, I guess. But there is something.
That's the difficulty the Sniper Ghost Warrior shit has to deal with. Is
So-
like they're out here being like, oh, we're gonna be the hardcore, the
Right.
sniper military. It's like, okay, but your much better competition is the Sniper Elite games, which
So-
are all about putting bullets through Nazi skulls.
Well, and I want
in
to
really weird
exactly.
detail. So
Well, and I want
like,
to I want to throw this to I want to throw a question.
non-problematic.
Right. And I want to throw a question to Tauriq, because I've been sitting here pondering this. The shit that they pulled with Call of Duty 2 was bad, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, this
Shot
like
Nazis.
like this feels this feels to me like, but there was nothing malicious there, just incredibly tone deaf. Like we want to do something super immersive, and we're going to give people tours of these places, and don't get me wrong, super tone deaf, but there is an air of something sinister in what we read about today, right? Like
No, definitely. I mean, you're also talking just so aside from that. So also, it's interesting that stood out for you as well was it's the combination of sort of black facing in terms of Muslim people. It's the addition of the pig. It's the Trump flag.
Right.
All of that. That's not like, oh, we don't really know what we're doing and reading the room. That's like, let's throw our MAGA ass viewpoints and make this horrific statement about brown people
right.
out, expressly saying so. There's that tinge of cynicism and hostility to it that the article itself also picks up, and you also picked up. That's the difference to me. That's not tone deaf. That's an intentional aspect to deliberately make this as uncomfortable
Right.
to target particularly Arab Muslim people in this.
Yeah, the dog whistles
Literally
were all
and
in
figuratively.
place.
Yeah, it was a bullhorn.
Yeah.
Right. And
My only question is like, what was the deal with the Trump flag? Why was it there?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
for intimidation.
They didn't take it down.
So I think it's part of that whole element. It's just, they're pulling out of the same bag. So the pig's head, the Trump's flag, all of that's part of let's make brown people the targets here.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
so there's an important question in chat from Eric. He said he says, John, when you served, did anyone ever say to you those guys killed a lot of good Americans?
It's a good question.
Yes. Yes, they
Oh,
did.
I don't doubt that for a moment. I know
Um,
far too many people who signed up for the military fresh out of high school when we graduated, who did so pretty much explicitly out of a desire to kill. I'm not even going to repeat the words because I know fucking better than that. Far too many people who
Yeah.
served. Not everybody. Clearly, John, you know better than to take that as aimed at you.
Oh, no.
Far too many people in our armed forces were over there with the explicit excitement that they got to kill some people they deemed subhuman.
Yeah, absolutely. That's,
Or
like,
at the very least, sub-American.
I mean,
So-
there was an actual white nationalist in our battalion. He
Yeah.
had the tattoos and everything, but while we were over there, as he put it, his shit was on pause.
Mhm.
And nothing was ever done about him. But yeah, to answer Eric's question, yeah, people when I served, people absolutely said those guys killed a lot of good Americans. I mean, that's what the fucking government said.
Hey, John.
And what's up?
Eric followed up with a clarification. Trump flag wasn't part of the set. It was actually just flying on their main building.
Wow.
But still visible as you
Wow.
came in. So it
Well,
kind
yeah,
of
but no,
serves the
but-
same purpose
No, that-
either way. But
It
that's a
does,
good
but
point
now it points out that they weren't dressing it up as like theming for the show. Like
it's just
that's
their
actually-
official stance.
That's their
That's
that's where
their
they're at.
stance.
You know what? I respect that more than just them having it as like theming. At least they're up front, like, all right, listen, we're this
Yeah.
shitty already from the offset.
Like,
We
you
just
know-
want you to know we're upset slavery is gone.
Yeah,
So-
That's
so-
what that flag says.
in an ironic twist, I actually
I'm gonna get clipped.
I learned, like, I'm straight up honest. When I was 20 years old, and I didn't know anything about Arabs or Muslims or Islam. And of course, when 9/11 happened, I was like, I was like, let's go. Like these people attacked us. I went to Iraq with zero respect for Islam, but that's because I had zero understanding of it. When I left Iraq, I had a great admiration for the Arab people, because I got to know them. And so, like, in an ironic twist, like, like in a really, really dark ironic twist, going to Iraq educated me more on the beauty of Arab culture than anything else could have.
It's really unfortunate that so few people who join any of the American Armed Forces end up looking at their experiences through that kind of lens.
with a
Yeah.
critical lens. Yeah.
Yeah. With an idea of like, I'm going to learn new things about other people and like, I'm going to question the things I've been told and take what I'm seeing with my own two eyes and break through kind of the forced narrative that you're very much contained within, both just growing up in America and then of course going into the armed forces and being made into a cog in the machine. I unfortunately know far too many people who came back much worse, much more
yeah, for
racist,
sure,
much more
dude.
violent people. People who I liked before they left, and when they came back, and I recognize that people go through some shit, and you get a lot of things like PTSD, but like that's not an excuse because plenty of people come back and don't turn into fucking
Racist
neo-Nazis.
monsters.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Mm.
I just it's heartbreak. I come from a military family. My dad and my stepmom. My dad was a sergeant in the Air Force. My stepmom was a captain in the Army. And we've had some hard talks where all three of us kind of lament that that's what happens to people when they join far too often.
So Tauriq, where do we go from here? Because this clearly is something that, like, and I feel like we're partly to blame for it because we're talking about it, right? Like we're giving air to it, but at the same time, if nobody says anything about it, then that's just as bad. And I'm wondering, with everything with everything going on with 6 Days in Fallujah, and now oh god, yeah, and now this,
Yeah.
how do we? I mean, what's the next step? Like, how do we try to put a stop to this, or is there anything we can do? I mean,
This seems like it's still the same. It's the same conversation that I think we've been having for decades now about this industry, and clearly nothing is, they're still going to do it. These weird sort of PR people are still going to do this crap. Game developers and publishers are still going to, push for this sort of thing. But it seems to me it has progressed. Like this, we're talking about this because it's now an anomaly. Like it's we don't see the booth bears, all this other weird stuff. Now we're more able to call it out. I think the audiences are more adept at reading this as nonsense, and I think we've also cultivated a slightly better environment where this is just now unacceptable. I don't, like, for example, I don't know anybody that would look at this event and be like, "Oh, that's cool. I definitely want to play sniper now." Like,
right, exactly.
it doesn't help that. And the narrative in which this is now being dressed up in is, this seems pretty gross, and I don't want to touch this game anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think also it seems to me that it has gotten better, but it doesn't negate it's still the same conversation. And all we can keep doing is acknowledging it exists, but then when we acknowledge, we put it through the lens of saying this is really gross and stay away from it. That's, I think, the best that we can. That's all we can keep doing.
Tauriq, I have a question.
Mm.
Because I've gone through uh, the example I can give, like, when these Far Cry 6 trailers came out, I haven't been on Twitter, but I can assume that the outrage was like, wow, this game is incredibly racist and everything. I can tell you guys that in October, when this game's out and people are reviewing it, mostly white reviewers and white journalists aren't going to bring that up. Is that your fear moving forward with a lot of games like this, where the outrage will start?
Yes.
The outrage will start during the promotional stage, but then when in an industry where at least a good chunk of the people reviewing and creating this content are white, they're gonna stay silent on it at that point. Is that your fear at this point?
Okay, let me tell you a story about a little game called Mafia 3. When we started seeing trailers for that and realizing what the story was about, a lot of critics of color appealed to all the big sites, saying, please let black writers review this game. You have the budget, you have the reach, it's important to the story, it's essential that you let black writers do it. Ask me how many of the big outlets got a black writer to review that game.
Oh man,
How many,
I
Tauriq?
think we'll
I think one,
Yeah,
which
tracks.
was US Gamer. Mike Williams.
Mike Williams, he's a good dude. Good dude.
Mike Williams was the only one. US Gamer was the only one that did it. IGN, none of them did it. I don't think even Polygon did. But I could be mistaken, so somebody please correct me. I'm too lazy to check it. As I said, it's like 4 a.m. here, so I'm not going to. But the point is, none of the big sites did it, and it was not at that point when we appealed, like what we were doing on social media, talking to getting all the editors, like trying to get the editors to do something. And again, it's not, I don't know how involved they are, and all. Obviously, that's its own complication. But when eventually we saw who the writers were for the reviews, there wasn't a lot of surprise. It was just, of course that's the case. So in terms of answering your question, in terms of Far Cry 6, no, I don't expect I don't expect the conversation to happen. I hope it does. I doubt it.
I remember, so I wrote a review for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and that focused a lot on, like, oh, this is weird. I'm playing a game that's all about killing people, like my people, right? Like, it's celebrating things like Operation Condor, which was a horrible thing in South America. I looked on Metacritic. I'm currently the lowest scoring review of every platform, and it's at a 50 out of like 100.
Yeah.
That's still not that low. So it's that's sort of my thing, and I can only imagine how much it hurts for you to see things like Sniper what is it? It's Sniper Ghost Warrior, where it's
Or
like
the Reckoning, whatever.
Contracts, The Reckoning Origins, right?
I'm sorry, video game, the game.
Yeah.
First-person shooter, the game. I can only imagine like that sort of anger, because I totally understand. It sucks that we're gonna see all this outrage now on Twitter. We're gonna see all this outrage now, but what's gonna matter is, are these big publications gonna put their money where their mouth is?
I don't expect much. I often don't. But I mean, it's weird because there's some that will do it. I mean, John himself knows in terms of how, for example, that your article that you wrote about the what phosphorus, for example, it's like that's what the conversation should be. That's the sort of things they should be publishing, and they have the reach, they have the budget. You know, it's just a matter of them making an effort. And you would want that just to be the standard. Like it shouldn't be like an issue if a game is all about responding to the civil rights movement and black rights in America, to get black writers in America to review the game. Like black writers exist. Just pay them. You pay them to write about this game. You don't have to get the same dudes, the same white dudes who have this big reach, who always review every single game. You don't have to get them. There are other people. There's other people who look like me who exist. There's other people who look like CJ who exist. You can get us to write this shit, you know?
This is
And also,
my plea to every big publication. Let me review Far Cry 6 for your fucking Pay me to
What
review
is-
this racist game.
what is the one that you mentioned that you gave a low score to?
It was Black Ops Cold War, and it wasn't even a low score. It was a
Oh.
mediocre score because, like,
Okay.
yeah, all the racism aside, it's still a Call of Duty game. I still enjoyed the little that I played of it because I enjoy Call of Duty. But I even then, like, I looked at my my score in comparison to everyone else's. That disparity is real. Everyone else's lowest score was like, what, a 7 compared to the 5 I gave it, and no one mentioned anything that I mentioned. So it's like, oh well, that's great. That's great.
So like look at us talking about Cyberpunk back when Cyberpunk came out, right? Like, and we talked about this during the actual like main show post Cyberpunk, but it was really frustrating to see once again like so many white moderate writers and even like people who are progressive, who speak progressively on Twitter, right, and on their social media pages, but then you put them behind the review of this game and they just give it like an 8, you know, or an N. And it's
they're
like,
not going to focus on those issues.
how many reviews talked about, you know, it was crazy when we were talking in our Discord and we're talking in our content about it, about these gangs, about, you know, the racist memes hidden in various entries, about, you know, who's talking about the most that any issue got any play was in like some mentions of transphobia in the game. But reviews didn't want to dip into what was problematic about that game's treatment of trans people. How many trans or non-binary writers got to cover that game for major publication? If that was going to be the primary, you know, thing that that gaming media chose to be upset about and ignore, it's wild that I had to learn about the gangs from back of house discussions in our Discord. That I didn't see any discussion about these gangs that portray black people as sexual predators, that portray all Latino men as seducers and charmers and womanizers, right? I didn't find out about this from any article or from any review. I had to find out about it from back of house. And that's fucked up, because if I'm like somebody of Latino descent and I play Cyberpunk, I feel like one of the things I want to know going in is like, is this game gonna call me a slur? Do you know what I mean?
If anyone who could look me in the eye and tell me that the worst thing about a game like Cyberpunk are its technical issues, I really want I want someone to tell me that. I want someone to look at me and tell me, yeah, like this game is bad because it's a glitch fest. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just saw like the most racist caricature ever, and that's like the first character you meet, so I'm already greeted with like with the worst representations ever. But yeah.
I also remember at the time, I think it was 2015. Do you remember Battlefield Hardline?
Yeah.
Top game.
So I think
Super
at the
Cops.
time, Super Cop, yeah. So at the time, I think there was like 2 of us. I think it was Austin and myself were the only 2 that mentioned like, hey guys, it's a bit weird that we have a cop game where you play a cop and you shoot people. It's a bit weird, right? And you is anybody like aware that that's not cool? We shouldn't be doing this. No,
That
no, it was
campaign
just,
was uncomfortable.
Yeah. But again, like it was so obvious. It's such like, and it wasn't raised as problematic at the very least. Like I get, obviously I've when I'm on brief for when I review something, you obviously can't cover everything. Obviously you might not be aware of some aspect, maybe. Like for example, if you are, under a rock somewhere and you're a cis person, you're not gonna maybe you won't know the extent of the issues of transphobia that are in that, whatever. Though I think it's nonsense. It's been everywhere, but
Apparently
regardless,
every major publication editor lives
exactly.
under a rock, I guess.
That's the thing, right? But it's when it's front and center, when you are playing a cop shooting people, and that's the whole game. Raise, at least mention in like a paragraph the problematic nature of this. Like, I don't understand why you can't do that and also say, oh, by the way, the graphics are quite good. Like, you can do both.
I
That's
I think for some people there's an element of fear there, actually, because
absolutely.
they're afraid that the I'm not going to mention any names, but the let's just say YouTubers of the world will latch onto that and subject them to serious abuse. Like I've been on the receiving end of it myself, and it's not fun. But I think that's what's keeping a lot of people from doing it. Finn,
CJ had something to say.
Look, John, look, and I want to give them that benefit of the doubt of them being afraid. Whatever, fuck it. Be afraid for your life, because a lot of these people are fucking shitty, and obviously they can do a lot. But at the same time, I truly think that their mindset is, I don't see this because it's not something that affects me. Why would a white person playing a video game have a problem playing as a cop?
I mean, for sure, I think there's an element of that as well.
So some moderate, or what is it, center left, guy reviewing a game. Why would it affect him? Why would the issues in Cyberpunk affect him if his whole playthrough is through the perspective of like a white cis male?
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right.
I don't think fear is a problem, because what do they have to be afraid of?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're not wrong.
Before that Call of Duty review got published, I had to remove all mentions of my girlfriend from my bio. I had to remove all my profile picture from that review and my Twitter, because I'm like, all right, the worst will probably happen to me.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Who of these major publications has that fear that isn't like a white that isn't like outside of being like a white system? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's a thing of fear. I truly think it's just a fuck it. Who cares? Like it doesn't affect me.
No, I think I think that plays a large role in it as well.
Which speaks to the issue here as well. It speaks to the fact of whose voices are most prominent in this, skewed as hell industry. It's still the same people as it was. It's still the same looking people as 10 years ago. It's still mostly straight white guys who have the voice, who have the opinions, who have the power. And it's the same. So the same reviews come out, the same issues come out, and that's what the topics are. That's why we are viewed, like when you talk about issues about race in a game, it's viewed as political as opposed to, well, no, it's part of the story. Or it's like it's an issue that affects me. Like just because I'm a person of color doesn't mean my existence is political. But that's obviously how everything has been framed because of the neutrality of cis white dude perspectives.
That's one of the things I hate the fucking most, is when people start talking about the politics of it all.
I had someone.
Well, you have two races, white and political. You have
that's it. Sorry, I forgot.
Two genders, male and political. You have two sexualities, straight and political.
Guys,
right?
I'm sorry. My last name is political. I apologize so much. I'm sorry.
Like me being queer and agender should not be like a political thing. But again, being your there's a point where your existence is just political in and of itself. Yeah. It's at the point where I know better than to enforce my gender identity at work because
Derek, I am more than willing to meet you in the marketplace of ideas and debate this.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
I'll just debate me.
I'll bring in fucking Sam Cedar. but no, and that's where maybe I get to be lucky, right? Because I am white, because I am like masculine and I'm male passing, is I at least get to go to work where like
Mm.
that identity, and that's where I recognize that like what I deal with is different from people who are like racial minorities or what women deal with. Is I at least get to take the cowardly choice and pretend to be a man at work just to avoid the drama. You know what I mean? And like there's its own harm in that, but at least I get to take that safe passage, you know?
Being a white passing Latino is great until someone asks you your name, or your name's like front and center on a fucking resume, and they can't tell whether you're Latino or Italian, so they just take the fucking coward's choice out, and they're like, "Fuck it, let's go." Fucking, we're gonna hire this motherfucker.
Wow. Holy shit.
It's funny. To your point about the whole I had a DM. Someone DM me about like my Call of Duty review, and I'm like, they're like, you don't like this game because it doesn't align with your politics. Is that unfair? And I'm like, yeah, I don't like a game because it's essentially telling me like, yeah, kill these people who look, sound, and come from places that you come from. And again, it is weird, right? Tauriq, like what you.
But that's I always find that question quite interesting. When I've also obviously I think we've all had this so-called accusation that you didn't like a particular game because it doesn't quote unquote align with your politics, and my response is like, yes, that's fine. I can like or dislike a thing for any fucking reason. That I just have to explain why.
Yes.
What's fucking incredible is the same people who say that loudly shit on every game that doesn't align with their politics out loud,
course.
right? Like the
There's
little
a
right-wing
character.
anime
There's a-
avatar trolls, yeah, if they have to deal with a fucking character being queer or black, like they're I'm not gonna buy this game because the SJWs have infected it, and it's like
when Battlefield 5 came out, remember when the controversy over women being
oh my god,
Oh
there's
my God.
women on the battlefield, and everyone knows their
on.
ovaries make them
like,
worse
come
fighters.
on, man, like you're completely
God.
what is it when you're completely like dismissing and just down everything you've said over the past few years about games
Right.
getting too political. You've already made it political
Well, it
yourself.
boils like look, like like in regards to the Battlefield thing, like I've said this before and I'll say it again, like that crowd, and Finn, back me up because I know you've seen this as well. Like that crowd wants it both ways. In one breath, and they're in one breath they say it's just video games, guys. What's the big fucking deal? Like it's just video. You can't take it seriously. It's just video games. Then in the exact next fucking breath, they'll say, "What about my fucking historical experience? What about my fucking historically accurate fucking experience, man? Like this is art.
It's
This
just
is fucking
a video.
art."
It's just a video game. No big deal. Calm down until you put a woman or a minority into a leading role, and then suddenly it's. But this is Assassin's Creed. There were no black people back then.
Yeah, like
Black people didn't exist until a certain time.
like the exact same
Black people weren't invented until 1973.
the exact same people who were like, gamers don't get offended over this shit. Like it's just video games. The minute you saw a fucking woman on the cover of Battlefield, motherfuckers were like, I studied war. I've read The Art of War. I read The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So I like to think of myself as something of an expert. And I can tell you right now that there were no female, not women, female combatants. There were no female combatants in No Man's Land in 1917. Now that's not to say that individuals were not useful to the war effort back home. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is
why did he become like a fucking Tennessee?
I don't know.
John, to your point, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the year after, like a year after, when Modern Warfare 2019 came out, and there was that whole that whole sequence that the devs essentially blamed on another country that was caused by the U.S. Every gamer was like, "What are you guys talking about? It's just a game. It doesn't have to be historically accurate."
Yep.
Like, no, what the fuck? What do you want?
Well, the most extreme aspect of this, of course, is when you get yelled at about historical accuracy in fantasy games.
Yeah.
Oh my
Why
god.
is
Yeah.
my
The
God.
Witcher's just being historically accurate by
Witch,
not having
yes.
any black people? Everyone knows that
Everyone knows
while
Poland is racist.
We
guys.
were
Stop it.
basing our fantasy world on Poland.
Poland is not racist. It's that nobody told Poland. We all collectively hid the existence of melanin from the nation of Poland for centuries. And it's only just now, because they discovered the internet about 3 years ago. It's only just now starting to creep through.
That's why
So
Cyberpunk is
you've
so
gotta
racist.
forgive them.
That's why Cyberpunk is so racist, because they're like, oh look, there's this great new movie out called Song of the South. Let's fucking watch it. And let's fucking use that as the basis for our people of color in this fucking futuristic game.
God.
It's like
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up before I
And the
ceded
crows
my
from
time.
Dumbo.
Is
Yes.
just I'm glad you circled back to that. Is just because I'm really tired, because if you look back on their apology today about the whole debacle,
oh yeah.
they use the same excuse Cyberpunk does.
Mm.
Oh, we're just a company from Poland. We can't. How can we be
Then
racist?
why are
What the
you
fuck
so
is going on
interested
in
the
Poland?
American
Like,
military?
educate yourselves.
But I'm
like,
so tired of them using that as like their shield. Like, oh, we can't be criticized because someone in America found us offensive. We're from Poland. We're just sad,
That's more-
defenseless Polish developers.
that's more them shitting on
that's why-
Poland than anything. Like, I
It's
mean,
just I don't understand. Like when I read that apology today, and I found it was like word for word, basically cribbed from the Cyberpunk playbook.
No.
And I'm just like, why? Why is that your go-to?
Well,
it
and-
doesn't hold water for me. I'm sorry. Like,
And the apology is all like, oh, well, we didn't really have control over this press event. So
I
we're sorry
love
for that
that.
turns out. But it's like, okay, but that doesn't address the real problem, which is that you've made yet another game like glorifying and slobbing on the knob of American military forces.
So-
right? And
Oh,
and
that
and, and
description.
using brown people from the Middle East as your, I don't care if it's a
Target
fictional country, but as your villains yet again. Like,
Well-
I was joking, I was like, why can't your fictional country basically be Belgium, right? Or Canada? Why is it always the Middle East?
Or-
Like,
well,
it's
Derek.
at the very least, it's getting fucking boring. What new shit do you have to say and show about the American military, about big, large, really good freedom boys with some guns shooting? Like,
I
what
want
new
a
insights
video
do you
game
have?
where the New Zealand military opens a portal to hell and
God
becomes the
bless.
great
Like,
threat to world.
Directed by Taika Waititi. Let's fucking
yeah.
I
go.
love
let's
it. Yo,
fucking-
it's funny, Derek, because you bring that up. It's like, you know, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. The villains in that game were the Russians. So they're like, oh yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
gonna
the
use
only
brown
time
people.
it's not
No,
brown
here,
people, it's the
hear me
Russians or
out.
the Chinese.
Yeah, no, it's even better. Hear me out. It's like, oh yeah, our villains aren't brown people. It's the Russians, but we're gonna take that a step further. We're gonna blame them for all our war crimes instead.
So
Well,
so
what was the main villain of the original Modern Warfare was a dude who was, his name was basically like Russian McArab name. You know what I
Zakayev.
mean?
Zakayev.
Yeah, well, what was the other name? What was his first name?
But you're racially ambiguous ass.
it was
yeah, he was literally just like, hey, do you not like Arabs? Do you not like Russians? This guy's both.
yeah. He was So
He was born in China.
so he was Chechnyan, which ticks the, you know, like, not only is he Russian, he's a Muslim.
Those are kind of like an in between,
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Was it Imran? Was it Imran? Was the guy's first name Imran?
Zakayev, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to point out something. When you're talking about like, look at their apology from a PR perspective. Let's not forget, we have a PR guy, a literal PR guy, on the fucking podcast right now. Finn, as somebody who's like, this is literally your fucking job.
Not to write apologies for that shit, but
right, like.
I have been there to create experiences for journalists about upcoming games. So yes.
So Finn.
Turns out I never
Finn,
once.
on a scale from 1 to 10, how racist are they? I need to know.
Oh,
Are you
so-
gonna try to outdo
I
them?
was really hoping this wouldn't come out, but you know, when the new Guilty Gear was coming out, you know, we really thought, how can we work Arabs into this? And
really
and it
racist, but only to French people.
turns out
Yeah,
the real Guilty Gears were the Iraqis the whole time.
Like,
So-
Finn just kept sending me like Latino stereotypes, like CJ. Which is the most racist of these? We need to know.
CJ,
first.
which
Yeah.
one would you not want me to post? Because anyway,
the
what
one.
was your question? I don't even
So-
know why
so-
we led into this.
I don't know either. So Finn, they said that they had this is what we stand for. I think CJ.
Yeah, that's
CJ's trying to stay alive down there. But
here's what kills me about that, John, is their apology literally said, "Hey, we asked them not to do this, and then they said no and did it anyway, but we couldn't fly because of COVID." So clearly, it was first of all, if you hire a firm to do something and then you as the client tell them don't do this and they tell you no,
you fire them. Yeah.
You can't, you cut that off. That is the most half-assed, like, oh, we asked them not to be racist, but they're like, nah, dog, we already committed. And we're like, oh man, we tried. Guys, we tried. We tried out of
I
our
told them not to
hands.
put the swastika on that cake, and they sure those dang scamps sure did it anyway.
Told them flying to Ava Braun's house was a bad idea. That's all I can
so Finn, they said that we didn't know they were going to do that, essentially, right? Like, there's no fucking way, right? Like, there's no way,
because especially if you are doing it remotely, cross like international developing this big PR push, like you have every step of the way vetted by your team and checked and being like, yes, we want this, no, tweak this, no, here's what we want. Like, to pretend to wash your hands and say that you did not have authoritative control of what did or did not happen does not hold water. I'm sorry. No company hiring someone to do that high concept of a marketing project to sell your game would not know what was going on. Just so Finn,
if you were in this position, if you were like brought on, let's say you were basically a medical doctor to this thing, you were like on call, and you get a call from these people saying, we messed up. What kind of apology? What would you do in response?
Oh, that's a good question. Tauriq, that's a good question.
That is a very good question. I mean,
we got a job for you. We did a racism.
Yeah. Oops, we did a racism. Reset the clock. Finn, what you got? Step one is to own it. Like, own up to it and give a heartfelt apology. That's like the baseline. You don't sidestep and pass blame to the PR company. You give an apology. You say, lay out where you messed up and how you're going to be better. Throw a donation to some charities.
Okay.
Like say like, hey, we are going to donate X amount of dollars to Free Palestine. What have you? Like, you have to be super proactive at that point to show that you did not condone this, and
be
this
demonstrative
was
of your contrition.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's step one. Step two is make sure that you do not work with them again. Like, and all aspects of, at that point, throw your marketing plan out and rewrite it, framing this as a bad thing. Because if your game is not all about that, because that's what they said, they're like, our game's not only about killing Arabs, it's just that's what they frame the press event as. And then you just you
look, guys, look. Killing Arabs is only one small part of the experience.
There's no good way out of that. At that point.
This game, we wrapped our game in a compelling narrative about why you're killing Arabs. Okay,
we just wanted people to know that our extremely large freedom sons were here to protect you at night. We're here to stop all the bad guys.
We had a Trump flag. We had to use it.
We had to use it. This seems like the best way.
Yo, how could you pass up the revenge toward Trump flag? You can't. I'm sorry. So I saw it at Spencer's.
When you said like own it, I'm thinking, oh shit, he's gonna say own it. Double down on the racism.
No, God, no.
The Trump 2024 flag was right there at Spencer's next to the double ender. I don't.
CJ, the sad thing is that is a viable option, is to just say fuck it and then double down and just and rebel. That's what Chivalry did. Yeah. Or not Chivalry, Kingdom Come Deliverance or whatever
is the only one to do it, and they're not that game sales didn't slow down. I'm just saying, if don't do the back and forth apology bullshit like Finn was saying, like pointing out before. Fuck it, if you're gonna be racist, double down on it. Then we all know what's up.
The anime avatars will show up for you.
Ideally, in his hypothetical scenario where I'm helping out, I would like to think I would not be working for a company that would just double down on the racism. I would like to think that I was brought in because they were honestly like oopsied about
Also,
it and they
like,
were caught unawares.
I just want to point
don't know.
out. I just want to point out also that every single 95% of the devs who work for these studios, if you look at their Twitter profiles, have imperfect follower of Christ in their profile or something, or like a purple cross emoji. And just throwing it out there. I mean, not very Christian of you, bro. But so I do want to. So this is a super important conversation. I'm glad we had it. I did want to end the podcast tonight on a lighter note. And if you guys don't mind, I would like to talk about the continuing woes of Cyberpunk 2077.
I thought we said a lighter note.
Well,
actually,
lighter for me.
I had a follow-up question. That's a transition to Cyberpunk.
Okay,
actually,
please.
Which for Finn again. So related,
Yes.
that apology that came from the leadership of Cyberpunk, is that something that you thought was part of, would that be part of the strategy you mentioned? Because they
no,
owned
because
it and
again,
said,
they never really truly apologized. I don't think it
Mm.
always came across like
Hey,
they
gamers,
seem
we're real sorry. The
No,
game
because
doesn't
they're-
play very good. That's the only problem.
their apologies were always technical in nature.
And
It
they blame
never had to
QA.
do with the
they blame
content.
QA.
And then
Yes,
they
exactly.
blame their own team. That is not owning up for it. That is again
Right.
passing the blame. Like I, as the highly paid CEO, it's not my
Rebellion.
fault. It's not my fault. It's those lowly QA people. You know the jobs you first take in the industry. Fucking amateurs. Blame them, guys. Oh, also all the racist stuff in our game. I don't know what you're talking about, but those
The thing
glitches.
is,
We'll
the
fix that.
racism won't piss off the gamers. The glitches
I know.
will. That's what I'm telling you.
Exactly.
I've
And
been saying
but
this.
that's why their apology rang hollow for me, because it only
Right.
addressed one aspect of the flack they were getting, and it was the one that impacted their money. Like Sony pulled our
It's true.
game from PlayStation, not because of how racist we were, but because the game ran like shit. So and the sad thing is, if Cyberpunk had come out running like a dream, being the game these gamers had like built up in their heads, no amount of people of colors like comments about the content would have ever mattered to them. It would have been game of the year from every major publication. It would
Yes, it
have
was.
gone like, and that's the reality, and it sucks.
Yeah. Oh, it
So
does.
Well, Finn, to your point with that, like every people of color is complaining about it. None of them would have been reviewing the game anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
well, and speaking of that, and using that little sound effect that Derek made as a segue into this, I'd like to point out that Cyberpunk 2077 just got patch 1.23 for PlayStation, right? PlayStation, its reinstatement on the PlayStation Store. There is nothing listed in the patch notes. I'm not kidding you. There is nothing listed in the patch notes.
What did you change?
I don't know.
It's on the store now. That's what we fucking changed.
It's on the store,
Now it's
but
on-
there are actually nothing in
More money.
Yeah. So the PS4 version of the game is now, according to multiple people who have played it post-patch, a ghost town. And one of the things CDPR appeared to have done to make it run better is sacrificing almost all of its pedestrian and traffic density.
Yeah, there's no cars.
I,
Nothing. Dead. It's a dead city.
Jesus Christ.
It's so horrific. You're driving through and it's empty. There's nothing happening.
So what is it? Just like a
no
post-apocalyptic
cars.
wasteland now?
The last
It's a
time I
very
played-
clean apocalypse.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice. That's my favorite kind of apocalypse. The ones
I
that are
still
really,
had
really.
I still have my copy from the library, and I don't remember if you guys you remember this. I don't know if you guys remember this. I played it and I showed you oh yeah, I rented this game because fuck it, I'm not buying this shit. And I played it on PS5 and it's fine for the most part. Like it ran fine because I downloaded it directly onto my hard drive onto the PS5. It's still the PS4 version. It ran like a dream. Like nothing was wrong with it except for obviously the fucking racism. They didn't fucking patch that shit out. So my question is, does this like essentially detect which PlayStation 4 you're using, and if you're using the Pro, will they add more pedestrians? Like I that's what I want to know.
I don't know.
I think it does, and that's why Sony said in their thing, like, if you're gonna play on a PS4.
Oh
PS5.
my God,
That's
yes.
another thing. That's another thing. Can you imagine you buy like a current gen game, they have a Switch port, and the Switch like eShop tells you, yeah, don't fucking buy this game on the fucking Switch.
I have
What are you doing?
never seen a one of the big three do that.
Tell you not to buy a game.
Yeah.
Tell you not to buy a
I have
fucking game.
CJ. I have
That's a
never
PC gamer problem.
like I have never seen Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo until now say, "Hey, yeah, do yourself a favor and don't buy this on
If you're one of
a
the
vanilla."
Hundreds of
Yeah,
millions of
like-
people who own this base console like I did before I got my
My-
PS5.
my-
Don't fucking
CJ
play this game.
CJ, my favorite thing about this story, which is a fairly old story, fairly old in this narrative, is do you remember the Xbox? I think it's the Xbox One X. There's a particular they did some because Microsoft had some relation with CD Projekt Red. So there's a stylized, customized Cyberpunk Xbox One X that can't run Cyberpunk.
Of course.
No, because it's still a it's still a last gen console.
Absolutely love
Of
that.
course.
Love
Still a
it.
last gen console.
that is
And that's what's hilarious when people point out, like, oh, you shouldn't expect it to play on a PS4. You should be playing it on a PC. I'm like,
This same
bitch,
console-
this game was announced before those consoles were ever made. Like,
This is the same console that
before
can run-
PS4 and Xbox One were ever launched, we knew about Cyberpunk, and you're trying to tell
say
me
this.
that it shouldn't run on these systems.
I'm
I
a
played Red
I'm a
Dead
PC
2,
gamer,
I'm like-
so I can say this about PC gamers. But PC gamers are notorious for bitching about every little thing about the PC ports that are not as good as the console versions. So like, hey buds, I got some advice for you. I got just a couple things. Maybe we're not in the best camp to tell
Yeah.
people not to fucking complain about how their video games run.
Arkham Knight on PC. Ask him how Arkham Knight is running.
Yeah.
No, but that's the thing. Look, Finn, this is the same console that ran Red Dead 2 with no issues. I played it on my
Right?
base PS4.
Yeah,
I played
that-
The Witcher 3 on my base PS4. I played Final Fantasy 15 on my base PS4. Those games
Yeah.
were fine for the most. Devil May Cry 5 ran at 60 on my base PS4.
yeah.
So
Like
if everyone who's like, oh yeah, don't play this on PS4 or Xbox One, like what the hell? What game systems have you been using?
No.
It's not that crazy to expect that this thing runs like this game.
Like,
well
look,
enough that I
here's
can
the thing.
actually turn it on.
if Ratchet and Clank can run at a solid butter smooth 60 frames a second, there is no fucking excuse.
To
for
be
the-
fair,
for the
Ratchet
last
and Clank is the gold standard of all greatness in this world.
but
and
well, that's true, but
you know,
But what I'm saying is that if that game that looks like that can run at a buttery 60 frames a second, then the last gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 should be able to
No
run
crunch,
better than
John.
that.
No crunch either.
No crunch.
No crunch.
No crunch. No, like they literally came out and said we did not do a single day of crunch on this game. And the fucking game is literally the most beautiful game of all time. Like that, like
It's such a
that.
bizarre thing.
It is. It's the
It
most
really is
beautiful.
be-
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's just
No,
just
no.
such a bizarre excuse, and the fact that a lot of these fans, and mind you, they're fans before the game even came out. They're gonna love this game
Oh, yeah.
regardless. They're good. They're gonna bitch and moan about like people like reviewing it like poorly or whatever. What is it like? Most publications gave it a really high score on PC, then a low score on console. They're gonna complain about it anyway. I know people who are still to this day defending this game like it's like it birthed them.
you know, it's their personality. It's become their personality.
Like,
A CD Projekt Red fan is like their defining character.
It's like
trait.
Silent Hill, The Room. Like just like that guy was convinced that apartment was his mother. Like people are convinced that
Oh, yes.
that this
Oh,
game is their
God.
actual fucking birth mother. Like
it's this bizarre thing where it's like, no, you can admit that a game has flaws. Hell, we're not even talking about the deeper flaws in this game. We're just talking about, yeah, sometimes when I get out of my car, my dick's hanging out in the fucking game because the car didn't render my
I
pants.
thought
in
you
time
were gonna
when I left.
say. I thought you were just talking about you for a minute.
No, John, you fucking I'm drunk. Anyway, it's this thing where it's like they can't take the most mild criticism out of the game. Again, I'm not talking about the racism. I'm not talking about the transphobia. I'm not even talking about the horrible labor conditions that CD Projekt was enduring. I'm talking about the fact that I've had 3 hard crashes playing this game on my PlayStation 5. We
Yeah.
can talk about that. We
Yeah.
can talk about that.
This has to be the biggest debacle in this industry in the past decade, right? Like it has to be. I can't.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
I struggle to think of anything worse. I mean, this
Well,
is a lot.
Like,
the launch of the PS4 with like games like Battlefield like not running, I would put there. I would because I remember that being a huge deal.
But I mean, this is
same
like.
thing-
But I mean, I've never heard of a game being delisted because it just wouldn't work.
Oh no,
like,
no, you're right. You're right.
like not a game running, like not a game this high profile, and like I understand that saying this is the biggest debacle in the industry in the past 10, 15 years. Like it sounds hyperbolic, and but I can't think of.
Is it though?
I can't think of anything like Tauriq. Can you think of anything as bad?
I was thinking the closest that I was thinking of was just the build up to all the shit that happened with Marvel's Avengers, with all the and there was like networking and like things not working, and then like weird stuff about like that, and that was constant. I think I got so exhausted by reading all the news stories and horror stories about like what was happening, and obviously your Fallout 76 as well as
Master
another
Chief
one.
Collection, maybe.
Yeah, Master
Fallout
Chief as well, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think Fallout 76 is probably like was the biggest I think prior to this. But I take you I think I agree with you, John. I mean the thing for me is just the scale of this, just because it was the initial hype, it was the expectations that they had told us. Then it wasn't even that the game didn't even meet that. It's that it just doesn't bloody work. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like anywhere. Nobody can basically play this thing, and even when you can, it doesn't. It's like it's a fairly shallow experience. There's nothing particularly special about it, and
Thank you.
there's no sort of. It feels like a game that I don't actually want to play. I can't because it's broken as hell. But also, I'm just so exhausted by it. I'm just exhausted by this game by
You
now.
know
The
what?
discussions and so forth.
I told someone like when it works, it's basically just the most bare bones ass Bethesda style RPG I've ever played.
It really is.
There really is nothing of again. Why am I playing this big? I wanted to play a big open world that I can live in. For that, I'll boot up Red Dead 2, where at least the game
Exactly.
isn't racist. The game
People chose to be hyped about Cyberpunk long before it was even a game.
yes.
Like it was purely on like these are the people who made The Witcher 3 and it's Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
And I
Well-
like Elon Musk, so clearly this is gonna be the best video game anyone's ever played.
I'm gonna stop you right there because even though I know it was an E3 demo, when I got to go to the behind the scenes press demo of Cyberpunk, that was the moment that I was like, holy crap, because yes, a lot of the goodwill was coming off of The Witcher, but then you actually got to see it and they were running it in real time. And yeah, it was a vertical slice demo, but it was still like proof of concept.
Yeah.
And so I walked out of that and be like, holy crap, like this is going to be sci-fi Witcher. And then also in my mind, I was like, well, Square Enix has killed off Deus Ex, so this is literally my fix now.
What I wouldn't give for to have
exactly.
Adam Jensen back.
So,
Like-
I mean but the thing that killed me was after that E3, every other story, every new bit of information about that game started chipping away at my like happiness, and I was like, oh god, no, come on, ooh, maybe it's not as bad as just that one game. Oh no, it is. Oh,
Yeah, Fed, I was exactly the same. I was also when I think I rewatched that 45-minute playthrough numerous times because I was so in awe of it. And also, Witcher 3 is like my favorite game, so it's like they can deliver on this. It's not going to run at launch and what have you, but I'm sure it will eventually get there. But they clearly know what they're doing, and it looks incredible. And all the systems they're talking about sound amazing. And if anybody can pull it off, it's going to be them. And then, as you say, chipping away at all of it, and just until it's nothing. There's not even a skeleton. It's just like a shallow stream of meaninglessness.
I remember that there was this one in August, I think August of 2020 or July, where they showed off a bunch of stuff. I'm like, this is it. This is my next Red Dead 2. I put 200 hours in that game. I can live in this game. And then it was in December of 2020, a little bit after the game had come out. I was on my second SDGC appearance, and we were talking about how awfully racist this game was, and it completely turned me off ever buying it. To your point, Finn. Yes, there is. There is a lot of valid. There were a lot of valid reasons to be excited for this game. It did look like it was going to be like this next big, like groundbreaking, immersive like world that you're going to explore. But that's valid too. That is valid. I totally get it. You sort of had a right to be excited at that point.
But yeah, I mean, but then it's like you just have to choose. Like at a certain point, all the negative stereotypes, all the terrible decisions, it outweighed it. John,
I was thinking about things that were this bad. Like what could possibly be as bad as Cyberpunk at this point in the past 10 years, let's say. And I draw a lot of parallels between what's happening with Cyberpunk and what happened with the original release of Final Fantasy XIV, which was dog shit.
I thought you were going to say No Man's Sky.
No, that's another good one though. That's another good example.
OG Final Fantasy 14 player.
Final Fantasy 14 was dog shit when it released, and Square knew
it was always common.
And Square knew it was dog shit.
Final Fantasy 14 for those who don't know.
Well, Final Fantasy 14, by the way, if you're not aware, the free trial up to Heavensward right now in Final Fantasy 14. You can get to level 60 now.
We're sponsored by Square Enix, and they're not even sponsoring us to say that. You just do it on your own.
I just say it on my own.
Yeah.
But no, like Square Enix, it was bad, and they shuttered the game's servers with a admittedly cool like world-ending apocalyptic event. And then they took 2 years to like. That game almost fucking killed the company. It was like it hurt them so bad. And then they came back and they rebuilt. They took 2 years to completely rebuild the game. They brought it back, and now it switches places with World of Warcraft. With between the first and second biggest MMO in the world. And then you compare that to Cyberpunk 2077 coming back with a blank page of patch notes. And like
and a blank streets
and like the like I can't help but make that comparison. And and who was it that mentioned No Man's Sky?
Yeah, me.
Tauriq. Yeah, that's another great comparison, because No Man's Sky when it came out was nothing like what we've been led to believe. Nothing.
Absolutely. And the reason why, I got a review copy of it, and I was comparing it again, much like Cyberpunk, to that beautiful first trailer that we saw of No Man's Sky, with that beautiful music and the dinosaurs. Do you guys remember that one? The very first one.
Yeah.
And like he takes off from the planet, and he talks about the universe and so on. And then when you got it, it was just like, it's that Jurassic Park. I don't know if you see that little clip of the bad flute sort of composition.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So it was that the whole time, and it was disappointing. And I remember feeling like, it's really bad. But at least it worked and what have you. But it was really bare bones. And also it was a tiny studio. It was what at the time it was like 6 people or 7 people or something. So it was coming off the back of the Sony hype train that they were forced into, so not really there, but whatever. But they didn't come from, the reputation of a CD Projekt Red, they demonstrated that they were capable of, incredible feats of creation. Here it was just this tiny studio.
It was Joe
they
Danger.
did that
Joe Danger.
Danger. Yes, exactly. So they did those little. Yeah, but I mean, the leap from a side-scrolling motorbike game to literally like the creation of a galaxy is, it's huge. So you gave them the benefit of the doubt and what have you, and then I don't know if you've played No Man's Sky today, but it's remarkable. It's utterly remarkable.
It's a completely different game.
Yep.
And obviously that's what people are latching onto in terms of if they can do it, CDPR can do it, but they can't.
They're not, and they're not going to.
it's not. They're not going to. But also, with regards to No Man's Sky, what you had at the beginning was a skeleton that they could build stuff onto. Cyberpunk's very skeleton is cancerous. Like, there's nothing you can do about that anymore. It's not like they can make better dialogue. It's not like you can make all those beautiful choices that occur, like in The Witcher 3. You know, where I don't know if the rest of you did this. Like when you're making certain decisions, you see the ramifications like hours later, and you could trace it all back. That happened constantly. There's no such thing here. It's all bare bones. It's all sort of front. Nothing really matters. You can't patch out the racism, but it's all just, you know, it's a performative. The choices don't matter here. Nothing really matters. Everybody's playthrough is very similar. There's nothing particularly special about it. So there's no way to even pull a No Man's Sky on this. All that you can be achieved with Cyberpunk is just making it more stable. But then all you're going to do is just see how, you know, bare bones and flat it actually is.
And I can't help but feel bad for all those influencers that got, you know, Cyberpunk 2077 gamer chairs and jackets and you know, like you know, they kind of have to put lipstick on a pig in this regard, you know, and be like, you know, oh man, I'm really enjoying my, like, this is, oh, it's everything I wanted. And
you know what, and look, to that point, if you're enjoying this game, cool.
Sure, by all means,
Cool.
Power to you, I guess. Fuck.
Like I said, I'll say it right now. It is an average game. If you're finding this enjoyment out of it, by all means, go ahead. But don't deny, unless, again, like John said, unless you're in a position where it's financially like you know,
when you
need to, like,
you need to be like, I love this shit, man. This fucking this shit burger tastes.
We've got some friends who had to eat some shit over this game, so you know.
This is the most supreme racism I've played in years. Like,
you know, I've had
4 Michelin star.
I've had big bowls of shit in my time, but this is the best tasting one by far.
But it's like again, I think most people need to understand that just because people, you know, someone calls out a problem with the game, it doesn't mean they're calling out a problem with your personality. Unfortunately, here in this world where everything needs to be the worst or greatest thing in the world, we can't really find that middle ground and just talk about
the product you consume must be your personality.
I am
a consumer. Yeah.
It's why I am nothing but a Picross, Final Fantasy VI, and Ratchet and Clank shill. That is what I do. that is my life.
Math is so boring.
If you don't make another Tony Hawk game, I'll die because it's all.
Well, hey, dude. Hey, Tony Hawk on Switch tomorrow.
Dude, you want to pay $40 for me to buy it again, John? Be my guest.
No, I'm going to pay $40 for me to buy it.
If you need more Tony Hawk in your life, go look at Avril Lavigne's TikTok. You got this.
Exactly.
Yeah, and yes. Also, I want to know which dark spell Avril Lavigne is using to maintain her youth, because
it's the shadow clone jutsu.
It's a clone.
She's
Come
the
on,
shadow
man.
clone.
Oh, that's right. That's right. The whole Justin spun me up on the whole Avril Lavigne replacement conspiracy.
What you mean conspiracy?
Oh no, Derek. That's
fact.
Derek, that's a thing.
Fact.
Yeah.
Derek, that's a thing.
Fact,
like,
please.
yeah.
Go look it up, buddy. Go look it up.
Derek, that's an actual.
Learn the truth. Learn the truth.
The truth is out there if you want it.
I mean,
is this like how Andrew WK has been at least 2 different people, if not 3?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because Andrew WK, I'm going to tell you right now, I've met Andrew WK twice, 2 different people. I've met before and after Andrew WK. 2 different human beings for sure.
On that note,
I see what people are saying here. No, I'm kind of in on this.
We are past our bedtime here. And I know that Tauriq is either past his bedtime or up super early, or
it's looped back into a.
I don't know what. I don't even know how to quantify that.
He's
but
got like 3 hours of podcasting left in him. What are you talking about?
He does. Oh no, we're taking this shit. We're taking this shit till 5 a.m. our time. But Tauriq, dude, absolute delight having you on, man. Seriously, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I
was invited to it.
Your constant needling finally paid off. Tauriq, if people in chat want to find you, and people in chat, you absolutely should want to find Tauriq on Twitter.
Shouldn't.
No.
No.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Don't send people at him.
That's a good point. Yeah,
No,
don't.
it's fine. Just you
Tauriq,
could.
I 100% get that. Yeah, like I want. I
No,
get it.
they can find me on the Tweety box.
Yep, he's on the Tweety box.
What about
Uh,
the Sylvester box?
Oh my God, Finn, shut the fuck up.
Shut up, man.
Jesus Christ.
Congrats, you ruined a good night.
We've got
Google
some
my-
more.
Google my buzz.
We've got some more really good SDGC content coming up for you guys. We need to record episode 3 of our Metal Gear series retrospective.
Never coming.
No, I want to do it on Sunday, Derek. How do you feel about that?
I can't. I do Castle Bravo on Sundays.
I want to do it Saturday, Derek. How do you feel about that?
It's my weekend day. I'm not doing podcast.
I want to
shit.
do it tomorrow, Derek. How you feel about that? Tomorrow
work
morning.
and I stream.
Tomorrow morning, Derek. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We're gonna get it done. But
Yesterday, Derek.
we're gonna get it done. But I know that Derek wants to be on for Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get that done. Does anybody have anything else before we get out of here? No.
I just want to say thank you to our guest for being awesome.
But I already
Yeah,
said
And
that.
Yeah, but now we said
yeah,
it.
but it means more coming from me.
I don't think they
Uh,
care what
and-
you think. So
We rarely do. But no,
was
it's just
great
it's
having you on. You
that-
get it. I appreciate it.
you get it, and it's really cool that someone is willing to risk that level of sleep deprivation to bullshit on the internet with us.
of
So
course.
Especially with
you
me.
rock.
Like
Yeah, no, that was
That can't be
John's like,
fun.
but he's
Fun.
my friend.
John.
I really
Man.
appreciate it. It was wonderful being on.
yeah, I'm sure it was Tauriq. And of course, a big welcome back to our beautiful boy Derek. We missed you, buddy.
Hi, not a boy. It's okay. I'm not
Well,
actually mad.
I'm not. You know what
I know.
I mean.
I never get on people for that. It's fine. I just wanted to bust your chops. a bit.
Man, stop busting my chops publicly. All right. Blaine's right. It was an amazing show, but we must be off. Take care of each other. We'll see you next week. And remember, until then, kindness costs nothing. Look out for each other.
Love you.
See you later.